you talking about that got me thinking about and got you thinking about, and you brought it up earlier today before we started the podcast. Drake London, wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons, he said that this offense this year, there are going to be a lot of positionless players, and this is going to be a positionless offense. And that's very intriguing words from Drake London, because while it seems like, everybody kind of has their defined roles, it also seems like there is a lot of versatility on this offense as well. I mean, think about it. We know, and we've talked about at nauseum and at volume, what Bijan Robinson is going to do for this offense. He is going to obviously run the football. He is going to catch passes out of the backfield. He is also going to line up at the slot sometimes. Heck, we might even see him maybe later on the season. It could be earlier on in the season. We could see him line up on the outside. Now, I'm not saying that's probably going to happen for sure, but I definitely think we're going to see him line up at the slot. Cordell Patterson. I think we're going to see Cordell Patterson used a lot like we have seen Deebo Samuel used in San Francisco. He might get some jet sweeps. He might just get some straight up handoffs. He might be lined up at wide receiver. Cordell Patterson is going to be a Swiss Army knife for this Atlanta Falcons offense this year. Kyle Pitts, we know he can line up anywhere. He's going to be used as a blocker, which he got a lot better at this past season. Obviously, he's going to be lined up out of the outside. He's going to be lined up at tight end. So he's going to be used in multiple positions. Scotty Miller, we could see him in the slot. We could see him on the outside because of his speed. So, when you really get to thinking about it, this could be, in fact, one of the most versatile and definitely a positionless offense when you talk about what this Atlanta Falcons offense is capable of, because there could just be so many different sets. There's so many different players that can be put in different spots, and it's really just mind-boggling, and it could be very overwhelming, and probably will be very overwhelming to a lot of opposing defenses this season, Beau.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan, it's just what he's wanted to do, and Arthur's done is he's just tried to find almost unicorn type players
right
at each position. Kyle Pitts is a tight end, but he's built a lot like a wide receiver. He runs routes like a wide receiver. He runs like a wide receiver. He's a big old wide receiver, but still that. I think Drake London would probably be the one guy. He's talking about positionless football. He's probably the one that's more into a box. He's not an overly fast guy, but he's very big and physical.
Yep.
So he can obviously line up inside and do some of those things in a red zone. But Cordell Patterson's already been used like Deebo.
That's true.
I think he was used like that very much so his first year here.
Yeah.
And then last year, when the offense was more run heavy, he became more of a running back, and he was used more in running back role, and you saw him lined out less. Now that Bijan's here, you can expand him out a little bit more, because in Algier, as it emerged, you don't have to depend on him to get that many carries.
Right.
So I think people when they hear things like this, they freak out at times, and it's like, well, it's kind of, yeah. I mean, we kind of knew this, if that makes sense.
Right.
Because Bijan Robinson is another guy who all we heard about was his versatility. You heard more about his route running and what he could do with that than his ability to break tackles. I mean, Bijan said when he got here, he was like, in rookie minicamp, he's like, I mean, he's going to use me the right way, which is everywhere. Right. So Jonnu Smith is a guy who when he was with Tennessee and Arthur Smith, he was used a lot. He was used out of the backfield at times. He was using the jet sweep type plays. So it's one of those deals where this is kind of the writing's been on the wall when you saw Arthur acquiring these guys, and the more of these guys they acquire. So it's not a surprise. And it's what can make this offense so lethal. It's also why when people think that this offense is going to be a 70-30 run pass ratio, like they were to like they were kind of last year with Mariota as the quarterback.
Yep.
I'm trying to tell people, I don't think you can look at that offense and say that's what it's going to be. Just like I don't think you can look at the offense in 2021 and say that's what it's going to be.
Right.
Yet, because that was a pass-happy offense. I think this is going to be a nice marriage of both, and I think that's something exciting to look at. So I just think the positionless football thing really means these are guys that can do a lot of different things, and there's going to be times where they're asked to do all those things. Just like Bijan will play wide receiver just like running back. Johnny will play running back just like tight end. Kyle Pitts will play tight end just like he plays wide receiver. I mean, Cordero Patterson will do everything.
Yeah.
So that's where I see it. I don't really try to think, well, this guy might do this and that. I just think they're going to take advantage of the things that these guys can and will and actually do. So,
yeah, I see it more so as one that Arthur Smith is just setting himself up and setting the team up to obviously be as versatile as possible to where you could go out there and if it calls for, and again, this will all depend on matchups and your opponent and how you want to attack your opponent. I mean, so many different things go into it, but there'll be times where you probably see twin tight end sets with Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith, and you'll see like jumbo packages with maybe Cordell Patterson and Tyler Algier, or Bijan and Tyler Algier in the backfield, and Drake London and maybe Kyle Pitts out there blocking. I mean, who knows? I mean, just the things that Arthur Smith is going to be able to come up with and the things he's going to be able to do and the multitude of ways he's going to be able to attack a defense. I mean, just thinking about it is crazy. I mean, it really seems like the possibilities are endless with what this offense can do. And that's why I think Drake was so spot on with this, because I really think that's what, like you said, he was trying to say, is that this offense is going to be a happy marriage of being able to run when they need to, being able to pass when they need to, working the play action in there as well. I mean, just thinking about all the things that this Atlanta Falcons offense is going to be able to be good at and do well, and the kind of playmakers they have at every single position. I mean, it's just scary to think about when you think about what the opposing defense are going to have to deal with, because, I mean, they're going to be up at night having to think about how they're going to stop Bijan and Kyle Pitts and Drake London and Tyler Algier and Cordell Patterson. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So, I mean, it, like you said, it is just super exciting to think about. And when you add into the mastermind that is Arthur Smith, I mean, Arthur Smith is a very, very good play caller. We've seen it since he's been here, just the creativity that he's been able to have with the guys that he's had on the roster so far, and then adding the talent that he's added. I mean, it's just amazing to think about what this Atlanta Falcons offense is going to be able to do. So, I mean, if that doesn't get your blood pumping, I mean, I don't know what will, because I'm super excited about what this offense is capable of and the versatility that they're going to have. So, I mean, it's just super exciting stuff when you think about the possibilities of this Atlanta Falcons offense, Beau.
No, I know. That's what I've been trying to tell people for a long time. That's why I think that they didn't have to really get they didn't have to get what they have been doing is they've made an offense that was already potent,
Right.
but on the ground even more potent. And I didn't think that's why I wasn't overly worried about them once they did draft Bijan. I wanted defense, but I think they're going to try to have a bend, don't break defense that can get after the quarterback, right, at times, because they've added pass rushers while scoring points.
Yep.
And they're going to I just don't foresee them shortening games with this many weapons the way they had done the last few years. Right. All Desmond Ridder has to do is, I say all, but he's just got to be in charge of the line of scrimmage, be able to see what's happening. You want him to read the defenses and be aware of what's going on, and then make decisions based on that, and then get be that accurate and on time delivery system. It's a lot easier for me to say that than it is for him to do it, because of what teams are throwing at you, and they're going to throw stuff at him. So I just think that I just think that people should be very optimistic and excited for the offense, like you said, and knowing that the defense should have some pressure taken off of them if it is clicking. And a lot of that's going to rely on Desmond Ritter. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Desmond Ritter this year. There's no doubt about that. So.
Nope. Nah, I mean, definitely he has to be, and this is something we'll probably get into as the offseason goes on and the season goes on for sure. But Desmond Ritter has to be the number one guy that has the most pressure on him. I mean, we've talked about Matthew Bergeron and the pressure on him, and he arguably has the most pressure on him as a rookie. But I think it's pretty undisputable that Desmond Ritter, if you're talking about who has the most pressure on them as a whole in this entire Falcons team, it has to be Desmond Ritter because he has everything around him. He has everything that you could want as a quarterback. He has weapons. He has a very good offensive line. I mean, it should be a very good offensive line. It's kind of yet to be seen, but from what we saw last year and the additions they made, it should be at least a very serviceable offensive line. Then you see the pieces they added on defense. It should be, again, you said at the very least a bend but don't break defense. So he's got pretty much everything a quarterback could want. And now it's up to him to go out there and be the leader of this team and, hopefully lead this team to a lot of wins and a postseason berth. And we'll see what happens from there. But I'm super excited to see what Arthur Smith comes up with on offense, what Ryan Nielsen comes up with on defense, and just to see how it all comes together when we finally start to get some regular season ball games. But that's